In this session, I am going to explain double-ended queue using array implementation and operations. That means I am explaining how double-ended queue will work using arrays, that is operations, that is insertion and deletion. What is DQ? Here first the question is arise. DQ is nothing but where two operations take in one end, that is in front end you can insert and delete, in rear end you can insert and delete. These operations which performed on both sides are called as double-ended queue. Previously what we have seen, only two options, that is in front end you can only operate delete, that is in rear or circular. In rear end what we are doing, we are using to insert an element or item into an queue, that is insertion is taking place at always in rear end and deletion is always taking at front end. Where these two operations are performed on front end and rear end, then we will call it is a double-ended queue. Here you can see double-ended queue is also a queue data structure in which the insertion and deletion operations are performed at both end, that is front end and rear end. That means we can insert at both front and rear position and can delete both front and rear positions. Double-ended queue can be represented in two ways, those as follows: input restricted double-ended queues, output restricted double-ended queues. Input restricted double-ended queue. In input restricted double-ended queue, the insertion operation is performed at only one end and deletion operation is performed at both end. That means insertion is done in front and deletion is done here in front, and in rear end what happens, only deletion is done. There is no options for to insert an element. This is the meaning. Output restricted double end. What this means? Output. Here you can see, here in front end you can insert, in rear end you can do operation, that is insertion and deletion. In output restricted double-ended queue, the deletion operation is performed at only one end and insertion operation is performed at both end. That means insertion can be done in both end, that is front and rear end, and deletion is performed at only in rear end. That is called as output restricted double-ended queue. In inserted restricted double-ended queue, what happens? Insertions and deletion is done at front end, and in rear end only deletion is done. Here program is there. See program. I am taking this size as 100. Here NQ, DQ, that is here front end and rear end. Here you can see there are two DQs and two NQs and one is normal NQ, that is insertion. How it is done here, DQ in front end and DQ in rear end, because both operations should be performed in front end, rear end, and inserting, that is should be also performed in both end, that is in front and rear end. And as usual, if you want to see elements in what are there in double-ended queue, we will use void display. I am initializing r equals to 0, front equals to 0, and queue size here it is 100. Same choice I am taking. Input restricted for DQ, what I have told that inputted, and output restricted for DQ. Enter your choice. You can enter any choice. Here it is input restricted and output restricted. That means where elements can be inserted at front end and delete at front end, only deletion is done at rear end. Then another one is where only insertion and deletion can be done at rear end and insert at front end, as I have shown diagrammatically in previous slide. Here also in example also I will explain. Here I am entering the operations, that is insertion, deletions, and that is insert, delete from rear end and delete from front end, because insertion can be done in any ways. Here I am entering I am taking choice one for that one, that is input and output restricted, and here this choice 2 is only for insert and delete from rear end, delete from front end. Here the operations NQ, and this is for DQ rear, that means insertion and deletion. And here value DQ, once again deletion at front end, and I am inserting. If here I am checking, do you want to perform another operation? If the condition is true, that character is gets is nothing but it is an input function where the value y and n is assigned to ch. I am checking this condition, that means I am entering into a while loop, do while loop. After all condition is performed, then when it is get fails, it will get. And this is case 2, where you can do select the operations insert at rear, insert at front, delete and display. As usual, enter your choice 2. Here also choice also be done. Here the difference is that here inserted are done in front end, and deletion is also done in front end, and display is also displayed, and insertion is also done at rear end. That means here two operations are performed at front end deletion, and in a rear end only insertion is performed. After that it will check whether you want to perform another function. If it is at same thing and the same value is assigned to ch, that is y and n. Here you can see here I am comparing, that means y or capital Y. That is here if you enter any values, that means if you are entering small or uppercase, it will check. Or this is called as two pipeline, you can see here. This is called as or condition. If any one is true, that means it may be a small y or capital Y, then it will perform the operations. This is the functions what I am doing. Here NQ at rear, that means I am inserting an element at rear and front equals to size of 2. I am dividing that one into a 2, because to simplify the time complexity. What happens here, I am checking Q is full, insertion is not possible. Then if it is true, then it will do. That means I am entering a choice y. If it is correct, I am doing do while condition. Here you can see enter the value to be inserted. I am scanning the value. Q of front equals to value, that is front value I am inserting at front end. After inserting, now it will be initiality will be 0. Now what I do, until size I want to increment the front end. For that reason I am incrementing front equals to front plus 1, that is front plus plus. I will repeating these things. Do you want to continue the insertion? Yes. If the condition is true, once again it is repeating this condition. If you it will come out of the loop, and it will check if your choice is this one, NQ at front. Same thing is done here. Here I am inserting at rear end. There in previous function I am inserting at front end. Here I am inserting at rear end. Here you can see enter the values to be inserted. I am inserting rear equals to Q of rear equals to wireless values I am doing. Once again I am entering a choice. If the condition is true, then it will perform this values, otherwise it will come loop. And here you can see DQ at rear, that means deletion is done at the rear end. Here if front equals to rear, that means no element is there, that means Q is empty. You cannot delete, otherwise decrement the front end and delete the element and increment the front end. Delete equals to queue of front plus 1 return delete. Similarly, here dq front. If front equals to rare, print queue is empty, deletion is not possible. Otherwise, increment rare r plus 1. Delete equals to queue of r minus 1. Here I am deleting the elements and decrementing the rare and return deleted. Deleted, that means the element which is deleted. Here display, that means where I should display the elements. As I in from linear, you can take from linear, circular queue or double-ended queue. We will perform always from front to rear end. Here you can check if front equals to rear, queue is empty, deletion is not possible. If this condition is false, what happen? It will print the elements. Here you can see I equals to rear and I is less than or equals to front and I plus plus. That is elements are incremented from rear to front end. Here you can see the output, how the how the program is performed. Here I have entered the choice 1, select the operations, insert, delete and favor. Here what is the choice 1? Input restricted DQ, output restricted DQ. I am using inputted restricted DQ. What are their insertion? Now, what is input restricted DQ? It is nothing but inserting done at here and deletion at done only in front end. See here you can see CDQ. I am inserting the values and here the output is 10, 20, 30 and